I was like second to last guy out or third to the last guy out, so they were rolling that reroute. I had to get right on him. And I put my rope on him. I'm standing there and I look down, I see blood on the bucket. I'm like, look down, and I got blood running down. I did like this. I'm like, oh shit. I looked at somebody and said, how bad is it? They're like, oh, you're going to have to be sewed up. I'm like, oh shit.
Rodeo time.
Well, welcome to the Luke Branquinho Show. We have, my next guest is somebody that probably got me all the followers that I have right now. James Burton Mauney, JB for short. Got his Monster and his Marlboro Reds. Where you got the pack there with you, obviously. You get through half of them already this morning?
Fresh pack.
Fresh pack. How many of those you go through a day?
Depending on how stressful it is around here.
Well, we were talking about it earlier. Stressful. You got your Stevensville pipe yard. Wait, no, that's Stevensville Truck and Trailer, right?
Truck and Trailer, yeah.
That's right. The pipe yard gave you a free hat after, $150,000 investment. That was good of them. I'm about 140 away.
You'll get there.
Eventually.
Keep building.
We talked about your past, obviously. This is a trivia question first before we talk about not your past. How many more world championships do I have than you?
Are we talking about how much more money I won than you?
No. We're talking about the buckles.
Oh, I don't know.
You don't know?
What'd you win, like 5?
Yeah, you do know. I have 3 more?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure everybody knows that.
What was your career earnings?
You have about, well, let me see. Can I pull that voice clip up? The $9 billion bull run.
Billion.
What's that?
I wish it wasn't billion. I wouldn't be working so damn hard.
That's no joke. God, that thing gets, you got to love it. You got to love that they say that many numbers, but it gets a little old.
You know how many messages, voicemails I get when my buddies get to drinking? This $10 bull rider.
Well, I guess it's better than, what do I have? I don't know if I have 3 million, 2.5, but all mine got spent traveling. I mean, the thing about you is you got to put it in the bank.
Well, some of it.
Well, what didn't get took, but whatever. We don't want to talk about that.
I spent a lot of it.
But you are now the coach of the Oklahoma Wildcatters.
Yes, sir.
Tell me this, though. We've talked about this before. Bull riding is an individual sport. Now you're a coach of a team. How do you translate that into team bull riding when obviously it is really an individual sport?
You've got to do your job. As long as you do your job, then the team wins.
That's true.
So, like, Brandon Bates, he's a GM, and we were talking about guys, what kind of team and everything. And I told him, I said, I don't care if they're from Brazil, Canada, Mexico, wherever they're from. One, they can't be what I like to say that we couldn't use on the other podcast we did. We'll just call it weak-hearted.
Yeah, those words. What were those words? FTP?
PR.
FPR, that's right, yeah. We can't say those on the Luke Branquinho show either. But, no, that's exactly right. And I got to experience it being behind the buck and shoots. But I did feel like there was more of a team aspect in the locker room, behind the buck and shoots, guys that you wouldn't see usually helping guys out. Do you think that's going to help drive guys to be a little bit better and hold themselves accountable not only for themselves but for their team?
It should. What I told Brandon, the way I look at it is it's traveling partners. Brian, Casey, the guys I traveled with, we all wanted to beat each other, but we pushed each other too. So if Casey stepped out there and was 88 points, I wanted to be 90. I was in the buck and shoot. Brian and Casey were on the back of the chutes. If Casey was in there, me and Brian, and that's kind of what it's recreating, because the way things are split up now, they don't travel like they used to. Like we traveled harder when they took a break. Was in a truck and camper for 3 months during the summer, and that's what I told him. And I said the one thing is, like, I went to one combine and most of them coaches were sitting on the other side of the arena watching, Well, I was on the back of the buck and shoot with the guys getting on, listening to them. You can tell from what they do in the arena. I said, guy can ride, be the best guy on a sheet of paper, but have a bad attitude about it. You throw one bad apple in the whole bag of apples, and it just crumbles. I'll have to have the same mentality, and that was the way it was in my truck. Like, you got in there and you was whining and carrying on, you didn't stay in my truck very long.
Well, and that's exactly right. I mean, winners hang out with winners for a reason. And you could have somebody that could win, but it's not a winner because of their attitude and their mentality, and I think that plays a big role into, watching, and especially last year watching Lambert and the Rattlers. Cody was the leader of that team. He didn't have one bull rider as the leader. He was the leader, and he kind of directed those guys, but they were all under the same mindset that, hey, what he says is the gospel, and that's what we need to follow. They didn't have egos. They didn't have somebody thinking, I'm better than this guy. Why am I sitting out? And I think that's going to play a big role into it as well.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to have to do a lot more paying attention than I used to. Pay attention to the bulls. Know what they do. I was like, oh, man, this will be a lot harder than riding them.
Well, yeah, no joke. Now, Bates, your GM, are you going to get an assistant coach to kind of help you with that? Are you thinking no?
No.
Lone Ranger.
I told everybody there's 3 of us already. Me's the head coach. Me's the head coach. Myself is the assistant, and I don't need you.
Did you get a lot of calls like, hey, man, if you need some help, let me know?
Oh, yeah, a bunch. My phone, when it come out, man, my phone did not quit ringing for 3 or 4 days. And I told Brandon, he's like, you want an assistant? I said, no. I said, because unless you get 2 guys that think identical, it doesn't work. I said, you put a guy in there that rode completely different from you, then you'll be telling them 2 different things. I don't try to tell anybody to ride bulls the way I did. I try to tell them the correct way to ride them, because I did shit that wasn't correct at all. And, that I said, when you get 2 people going against each other, all you're going to do is confuse guys, and especially young guys. The guys that are already set, older guys, they're set in their ways. You're not going to change them. But young guys, you'll have them confused and doing the wrong thing, and it's easy to pick up bad habits. And I said, I would rather take the money that you were going to have to pay an assistant coach and put it back in the pot for the riders.
Well, for sure. And it's one of those deals. I'm the same way, especially with my kids, or, what, in life too, do as I say, not as I do type deal. And obviously the way you rode bulls, you can't have Court McFadden. He's not going to ride a bull like you. So you have to teach him the correct way, the basics, and let him kind of feel his own style. And that's what I feel like I do with all my clinics and everybody that I try to help.
Yeah. That's what I tell everybody, like, different riding styles. I said, go find somebody that, you can watch that rode more like you feel like you ride. I felt like I was built like Lane Frost, and I kind of rode like him. And so that's what I watched. That's right. Who I tried to imitate, and guys that ride kneed up, kind of monkeyed up. I said, go watch videos of Terry Don. Just watch those guys that ride more like you feel like you ride, and you watch and you do what they do. I said, but it all boils down, you still have to make the same moves. No matter how you're doing it, it's all the same basic steps. But
I feel like, too, for me and you as well, we were winners, very successful in our riding abilities and steer wrestling abilities, but we were also students of the game enough to know that, like you said, Terry Don. So if you have a guy that does knee up, you'll be able to help him, where there's guys that have won championships, and no offense to them, I wouldn't send my kid to go try to learn from them, because they have one, they're one-dimensional. They don't think outside of the box. It's only one way or the no way.
Well, that's what, Eric, the boy that works for me, he gets on bulls, and you get one guy teaching a bull riding school that says, you lift on your bull rope, you lift the whole time, you lift the whole time, you lift on the whole time. Well, then you got another guy that's saying, push on your bull rope, push on your bull rope, push on your bull rope. And I told him, I said, it's not one or the other. It's both. It's give and take. Depends on what the bull do both. Like guys ask me about bull riding schools, and I'm like, go, but only take what you need.
Exactly.
And like that, like you don't lift the whole time for 8 seconds, and you don't push. If it's give and take, depending on what the bull does, is what you have to do.
Sanderson Ford is celebrating.
Ow! Can he slow it down a bit?
Hey, Randy, turn down the heat.
That's perfect. We're celebrating our 69th anniversary sale.
Now during the Mighty Fine 69 anniversary sale, get home run deals like these.
Get 1.9 financing on F-150 trucks. Get 0% financing plus $1,000 flex buy cash on new Escapes.
Catch the savings at Sanderson Ford.
A proud partner of the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Well, and that's what I tell them. I said, go to everything you can, pick up what works for you and what doesn't. You know, you have to make your own style. You have to make what works for you. And I mean, and again, that's where it goes back to we were winners in the arena, but also outside understanding the difference in there. There's a guy that teaches clinics that it's one way. There's only one way to do it. Well, I'm not built like Dean Gorsuch. I'm not half as strong as that man, you know, so I couldn't bulldog like Dean. I couldn't bulldog like Todd Soon. I couldn't bulldog like Tyler Wagaspack. And that is the hardest part, I think, for me doing clinics, trying to get that mindset out of those kids, because there's so many YouTube videos on this is the only way to do it.
That's what everybody asked me. What kind of bull riding school did you go to when you was younger? I said the one at trial and error. If it didn't work. Oh, and another thing I told people, like everybody, you know, they said, well, you never went to the gym. I said, no, but I worked every day. I said, if you go to the gym, you know, that week and you go to the bull riding and you feel like you rode better, then that's what you continue to do. It's all above your head. Whatever you think you do that makes you ride better, you continue to do it. For me, it was get on more bulls. You know, it was get on practice bulls every day. I felt like when I got on bulls every day, I was in what you call bull riding shape. And so that's what I did. I didn't worry about going to the gym, lifting weights. I didn't have to. I'd get on 6 to 10 bulls a day when I was at home, and I felt like by the time the weekend rolled around, I was on my A game. I was ready to rock and roll. So, and then when I got home, whether I was 0, 70 points, 90 points, it didn't matter. I'd break each ride down, figure out what I needed to work on, jump to jump. I figured it out. And somebody's like, well, man, you were 92 on the bull riding. Why are you watching that? I said, because you can always do it better.
Yeah. That's funny you bring that up, because same way, but granted, I didn't have the luxury of videos when I first started. You know, we had the big cam.
Yeah, I didn't either. Couldn't tell what the bull was or what you look like.
Yeah, exactly. It's so grainy and so far away. Yeah, that's exactly right. And I had a kid, his dad called me there from Southern California. He's like, I got a kid wants to start steer wrestling. Like, okay. He's an athlete. He's all-star track, football, baseball, everything. You can't wear him out. I'm like, yeah, give me about a half hour. And when you said bull riding shape, it made me think about that kid. He came and ran 4 steers on the ground, just shoot dogging, no horses or nothing. He was puking in the corner, because there's a difference between being in shape and being in steer wrestling shape, bull riding shape. You know, you can go lift and run and all that, but you don't use them the same way. You don't breathe the same way. There's so much to it.
That's what I always say. You're riding shape. You can be in the best shape, go to the gym every day, eat healthy, do all that, and you come out here and I could get on more bulls than you could ever think of and smoke a pack of cigarettes doing it. It was, you know, it was different. Like I'd see guys that were, you know, in the best shape of their lives, and you put them on 2 bulls and they're winded, like they'd done something. I always say there's a difference between a man that works out and a working man. And that's
100%.
For cattle, I worked every day. I was always working bulls, doing stuff like that. So I felt like that kept me in shape. I didn't need to go to a gym.
Well, and even to this day, I mean, you know, breaking neck September, having surgery, having to sit out, you're back to the daily grind of the same shit you were doing when you were riding bulls. If you were to go get on now, obviously you're not. But if you were, I don't think it'd be any different. You'd be able to go get on what you used to.
That's what everybody messes around with bucking bulls over here. And they're like, you really not ever going to get on another one? I said, the riding part wouldn't bother me. It's the dismounting that would get me. You know, because I was never very good at that part. And my luck, I would get on just like snack pack out here or something and go to pull my tail. My hand would hang and he'd wad me up on my head and it'd probably kill me.
Well, and speaking of that, not snack pack, but being in great shape, and we've seen it, you know, Cowboy Cerrone was supposed to get on Twisted Steel at the PBR World Finals. Guy's probably in as good a shape as anybody. And, I mean, cardio, physical, as good as they get. Tears his bicep, and he's surgery and out for 6 months probably. So going back to that, those muscles aren't used to that, getting jerking and pulling on that bull rope.
That's what I told some guys, some of them guys that are gym rats, that stay in there and just pump iron all day. I said, that's fine. And you feel really strong. I said, but one thing I've always noticed about guys that get big like that, they try to muscle a bull. They tear growing muscle. They tear biceps. You get a 1,900-pound bull dropping on the end of your arm, something's given. And for me, on the outside looking in, it seemed like their muscles were so tight that there wasn't no give to it, so it just popped. And
it has to go somewhere.
Yeah, and that's why I was like, I'm a proven fact. Like, I weigh 145 pounds, and I have since I got out of high school. And, I mean, not the strongest human you ever saw. I mean, but you got to move with them. It's more balanced than it is anything. You're not going to outpower them. I don't care how strong you are.
No, that's exactly right. And there was videos, I haven't seen one in a long time, but guys on medicine balls standing on them and balancing and doing all that. That to me is more key than building a strong core. I mean, obviously strong core, but building muscle, having that balance. I think you were smoking a cigarette while you were doing it.
I relied more on balance and knowing where I needed my body to be and being able to control it, shift my weight from one leg to the other in half a jump, being able to move my hips on those bulls, because if you keep your shoulders and your hips square with them bulls, they can't throw you off. So,
right.
And that's what Eric, I told him, I still got the medicine ball. It was laying up here. I said, take it down there to your house, and every day you stand on that thing and you watch bull riding videos. I said, and just get the balance. They did that Washington Post deal, and the guy that pretty much taught me how to ride bulls is Mike White and Matt Merritt's father-in-law. And he said, he would make me do balance stuff more than anything. And he said, hey, watch me get on a wood arena, 3/4-inch boards, and I walked halfway around it, just bebopping around it. Like I had, my balance is not quite as good as it used to be, but when I really worked at it, I could walk on my hands for as long as you'd say, walk on your hands, JB. I could walk all around the room on my hands.
Now you can't get your hand above your head.
It's kind of walk on one that doesn't work anymore.
There's another surgery coming up.
It's like driving with a flat tire.
Little off balance there when you're walking on your hands. What about these guys now? Well, let's go back. We talk about not being bulked up. Then you have a guy like Adriano Moraes. I mean, that guy's bicep was unbelievably. But that's how he was from like you when you were young out of high school. He was always bulky. His body knew how to move and stretch with the bulls. And now you have guys, I feel like you're seeing guys now getting hurt more often. You got Jess Lockwood, started real young, but now he's kind of always injured, always hurt. Jose's kind of getting into that point. I mean, what the hell is that attributed? What is it attributed to that, I guess?
I have no idea. I think it's all mindset. I told they were doing an interview and they were talking about me being one of the toughest guys. I said, I'm no tougher than the rest. And they said, well, you did this. You rode with broke legs. You rode with this. You rode with that. And I said, yeah, because I told myself I could.
Right.
And you're only as tough as what you tell yourself you are. But if you tell yourself you're a bad son of a bitch, then you're a bad son of a bitch. And that's my mentality. I had it in my head that no matter how bad I hurt, I could put it out of my mind for 8 seconds and I could still do my job. And a lot of times it worked, sometimes it didn't. But, like Kai, to realize how tough he was. Some guys, you get hurt, and you got some guys over here, it's like the two little guys on your shoulder telling you right from wrong. It's the same difference. Why you probably need to sit out. You probably need to do that. Well, I always went with, I can do it. I'm going to prove them wrong, and Kai had to realize, like at the NFR, like it was either he got on and tried to win a world title, or he sat back and watched and lost the world title. And he realized then, and then he showed up. He rode that day, rode both them bulls, was on one pin, and he realized right then how tough he could be.
This question is from my good friend John Moore, 6582. Regarding Dr. Impey's stem cell research, do you think the MLB or NFL would outlaw this treatment like they do steroids? Well, it's funny you say that because, and I've had this conversation with Cody Lambert a lot. He told his guys, he said, if you think you're hurt, you walk past that sports medicine room because they will tell you you're hurt. If you just think I'm sore, you go back to our locker room, we'll evaluate, see what you need. But if you go in there, they're going to say, well, you need to sit out. And like you said, that puts that in their mindset. Well, wait, that guy says I need to sit out. So do I really? Instead of going, okay, well, I just got banged up. I'll be fine to get back on. And I think you're 100% right. Mindset has so much to do with that.
That was the last place I went. Like, if they saw me walk in that sports medicine room, I was hurt, and I was hurt bad. Like, because I never would. Like, I would not go in there. I'd go in there before the bull riding and just hang out with them guys because they were cool guys. But as far as, like, when I was beat up or sore, that was the last place I went. Like, I did not want anything to do with it. And, you know, when I broke my neck that night, when I walked out of the arena, I walked straight to the paramedics. There was no sports medicine. There was nothing. I walked straight to the paramedics, sat down, and so what's going on? My neck's broke. And so – but somebody said, you really think he broke his neck? He said, well, I don't know if it's broke or not, but he must be hurting because I've never seen him walk straight to paramedics and just sit down and be like, hey, take me to the hospital.
Yeah, but that's the mindset that let you win $7-8 billion and two gold buckle, 2 world championships. I got 5. But I mean, that's the mentality it takes though. I mean, in all reality, there was times at the NFR when I had torn muscles, nothing major like bull riding, but I had to put it out of my mind. I went in there to get taped up, but that was it. It wasn't, okay, well, if you do this, you might have to sit out. That's not the mentality it takes to be a champion.
Me and Tandy, we butted heads quite often, you know, and I was always wanting to try to figure out how to get around it without having surgeries.
Oh, yeah.
Blew my knee out, and like I got up, I walked out of the arena, and Tandy's like, what is it? I said, I just blew my knee out. And like, the bull stepped on me. I felt it rip like I knew. And I said, my knee's done. And he said, go sports medicine. So I went in there. He messed with it. He said, I don't know if it's your knee. I think you broke your leg. I said, it's not my leg. I'm telling you, it's my knee. So I was in California, had a red-eye flight back to North Carolina. So I had to fly on that sun gun. By the time I got home, it was swelled up. I couldn't walk. I was hurting. They did x-rays, MRIs, and ACL, MCL was ripped completely in two. And that doctor there, he didn't know me in North Carolina. I just went to a normal doctor there, and he's like, yo, you need to have surgery, blah, 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 blah. I said, you got a needle? What? I said, you're going to inject it. We're not doing surgery. And got a tape measure too? He said, for what? I said, a brace, because we're not having surgery. And Tandy, that come from Tandy. Tandy told me, he said, if you tear it completely, can't tear it twice. So a lot of things I just let go because, like my right groin, I tore it, and I asked him, I said, what do you think? He said, you have the surgery to reattach it, you'll run the risk of tearing it again, and it'll be a lot weaker, you know, after you reattach it. So he said, if you want to let it heal that way, then you don't have to worry about it anymore. So I just let it heal that way. Both my knees, no ACL, MCL in either knee, and one of them, I can't remember which one, no PCL. So somebody said, what holds your knees together? I was like, scar tissue.
And why do you walk with a limp? No reason. Yeah, that's just the rodeo cowboy mentality life. But I do feel like it's kind of going away a little bit. And I don't know if it's because our sport is becoming a little more mainstream and there's a little more money, you know, up for these guys to win. But that's not, I mean, I guess you have to take care of yourself to make a living, but that wasn't our mentality.
It was not. Mine was the hardcore, just be a cowboy. And that's what I tell a lot of people. I went about my career with a pride on my shoulder. It didn't matter about anything else. You know, the money I was winning, it was pride. I wanted to prove that if they had a bushwhacker out there and they said nobody could ride him, by God, let's try him.
That leads me into my next question, because there were so many times you were going into the championship round, got the first pick of the draft, or however they used to do that, and you would pick the rankest son of a bitch there was, the one that nobody could ride, they said. And the thing about where you were at, and in my opinion, you were first coming into the championship round. Not very many people ride bulls in the championship round, so you were guaranteed a pretty good check, even if you didn't cover, say, Bushwhacker. So not only were you going to know you were going to win a good check, but you knew you put yourself up to be, well, you were the greatest, but cover one of the greatest or the greatest rankest buck and bulls ever.
That's there again. That's pride. It wasn't about the event titles or the money I was winning. I want to prove that I could ride the one no one else wanted to get on. You know, that's what fired me up. That's what got my motor running. If I had a bull you could be 86, 87 points on, you know, they're better in practice bulls, but it was kind of felt the same. Like he was
right
other than just spin. Well, when you run a Bushwhacker, Airtime, Asteroid, Bruiser, something like that, be hitting on all cylinders, my motor would get to running, and I liked it. You know, it fired me up more and made me ride better. And so once I got to doing it, then I was like, well, I'll just keep doing it.
So you mentioned Airtime, Bruiser, Asteroid, you know, those bulls. Obviously you dominated all of them, but what was probably the hardest one for you to get by?
Bushwhacker and then Airtime. Both of them bulls. I never rode Airtime. He ended up getting hurt and they retired him. I got on him 3 or 4 times. Bushwhacker, 13 times I got on him, rode him once. And that's what somebody the other day said, what made him so hard? I said, you watch all 13 trips, which a couple of them aren't, you know, videoed or anything. I said, but out of all the trips, you never did the same thing twice. You know, you didn't know what to do. There was no game plan. And it was, and the thing about him, like most bulls can't do it. Like you get a long john that really rears up in your face, but he drops straight down. It's just up and down, straight up and down. He moved when he reared. And that's what made him so hard to ride. When he left that buck and shoot, it's like he sprung off his back feet. So as he's going up in there, he's moving away from you at the same time. It would be damn 15 feet before his front feet hit the ground. That's what made it hard. Like you try to go to the front, well then hell, everything's still going away from you. And it was something that you couldn't fight it. Like you could stay up there for so long, but eventually something had to give and you'd start getting reared back. And so when he dropped out of there, that's why he whooped a lot of guys down. And so that's what made him so hard to ride was as he was rearing, he was going forward away from you all at the same time.
I got to ask because I have split my chin on horns, you know, nothing like your set of scars on your face. But I could remember vividly like a horn hit me in the chin. Like I had 27 stitches here, the nerve's gone, and in fact, it's numb. It really bugs the hell out of me when I shave. But I could vividly remember the feel, the sound, I guess everything that happened through it. Can you still remember all that sound and everything? Your face slapping down and hitting them.
Unless I went to sleep, you know. A lot of times, a lot of these scars came, they hit me, and I went good night. A few times, you know, just getting popped in the chin and splitting it open. Like I remember exactly what happened. I remember him hitting me, and I remember most of the time thinking, "Oh, he's about to hit me in the face."
Sanderson Ford is celebrating.
Ow! Can he slow it down a bit?
Hey, Randy, turn down the heat.
That's perfect. We're celebrating our 69th anniversary sale.
Now during the Mighty Fine 69 anniversary sale, get home run deals like these.
Get 1.9 financing on F-150 trucks. Get 0% financing plus $1,000 flex buy cash on new Escapes.
Catch the savings at Sanderson Ford.
A proud partner of the Arizona Diamondbacks.
That's what I could like. This one here, it almost like you take a baseball bat and hit a watermelon. That's what this one. It just sounded. I could hear it, and then blood just everywhere. But nothing like a bull's head or horn. It was a little steer. He only weighed about 450 pounds.
I got into it with Tandy one year at Nampa. I had one of HD's, and he was a young bull. I should have known better. Should have kind of slid up there easier and knotted. Well, I kind of jumped to him, hit him pretty hard when I knotted. Well, he bucked in there and he threw his head back. He popped me in the bottom of the chin. Well, it didn't knock me out, but it kind of scattered my stuff around. And then he turned out backwards, crashed into the bucking chute. I ended up getting a re-ride. Well, I was standing there talking to Lambert, and he's telling me the re-ride. Well, Tandy grabbed me, and I jerked away from him. He said, "You got to go to the back." I said, "No, I got a re-ride." I said, "You ever grab me like that ever again?" And the other guys were like, "Man, the look in your eye." I said, "Well, I mean, I'm pretty respectful, but you don't manhandle me. You don't grab me and just jerk me around like that, especially right after a bullet hit me in the dang chin." And, well, I didn't know at the time that I was split open.
Really?
I was like second to the last guy out or third to the last guy out, so they were rolling that re-ride. I had to get right on him. And I put my rope on him. I'm standing there, and I look down. I see blood on the bucking chute. I'm like, look down, and I got blood running down. I was like, what the hell? I did like this. I'm like, oh, shit. I looked at somebody. I said, how bad is it? They're like, oh, you're going to have to be sewed up. I'm like, oh, shit. So I ride my re-ride bull, rode him, get off. I walk back there, and I kind of ease into the sports medicine. Tandy's back there in the corner, and I walk over. I was like, lay down. Yes, sir. I may have screwed up this time. I just got kind of pretty tough acting to the man that's about to sew my face up.
No Novocaine for you. Novocaine, whatever. Lidocaine.
Yeah, he sewed me up a couple times without any of that.
All right, I'm going to do a little question, and you could answer them truthfully or not. I don't care. Actually, no, truthfully. Better bull rider, Stetson Wright or Kai Hamilton?
Oh, shit.
Aha. I'm putting you on the spot because I know they're both friends.
Yeah, I know. That's pretty hard. 2 years ago, I'd have said Stetson Wright, hands down. But after last year and seeing what Kai's capable of doing, and now he knows he's capable of doing that, that's pretty tough. It'll be fun watching them guys go head-to-head when Kai they both get healed up, I guess.
Well, that's what I was going to say. And the best part is it's a rivalry, but it's a friendship. Like, they're going to feed off each other, and we talked about that. One's 90, the other's going to try to be 91, and I think that's why I asked the question, because that's going to be fun for the world to see. I don't see them coming over to teams or PBR for a while. You think they're going to stick right where they're at?
Kai was thinking about it because I was trying to talk him into it. I wanted him on my team. He told me, he said, I would come and do it, but I'm not wearing a helmet. And the PBR has a rule if you're born after
right.
95, you have to wear it. So we were trying to figure out the past couple of weeks if they would lift that rule. And because I never agreed with it. You shouldn't be told if you want to wear a hat, wear a hat. And but they're balking at it. They don't want to change it and everything. So Kai said, if I got to wear a helmet, I'm not doing it. I said, well, I understand that. And we're having the combine here, and Ken, he asked me, he's like, why do you think some of them rodeo guys don't want to do it? Because they can still go rodeo and do the team deals. And I said, well, a lot of them are not going to wear a helmet. I said, that's just part of it. And he said, well, that's a rule. I said, I know it's a rule. I said, but for me, I was backwards in my career. Like most guys get older, they put a helmet on. Hell, I got a little older and I took mine off. So, and I said, with that being said, no amount of money would have made me ever put that helmet back on. Once I quit riding with it, I would have never put it back on. No matter how bad my face got wrecked, I would have never put it back on. And I said, you've got some guys that are not going to wear it, and they won't come over. Doesn't matter how much money you offer them to come over here and ride bulls. If they don't want to wear a helmet, they're not coming.
Did you feel like it made that much of a difference obviously, or you would have not left it off, but that much of a difference in the feel, the vision, just everything that you incorporated into it?
It didn't really bother me. I grew up wearing one. My parents made me wear one. So when I started riding steers, they made me wear one. So I was probably 11 or 12 when I started wearing it. I was used to it, but the only reason I kept wearing it was because it was pretty much habit. I'd always wore one, so I just kept on. But the only difference I would kind of see, like the weight, I'd get my chin up a lot easier. I couldn't keep it tucked down as good. And then peripheral vision, like I would lose those bulls. Like when you hit the ground, you couldn't see them if they were right here. You'd have to, kind of about like having a broke neck. You had to turn way farther to be able to get your eyes on them. And it was kind of one of those deals. I was riding like shit, and we was getting on practice bulls, and I don't know why I did it. I left it laying in my bag. I didn't grab it. Just had my hat on. I went and got on the bull, and he turned back right in the gate to the right, and I never lost sight of him. Made a jam-up bull ride. Everybody's like, man, that looked good. And I never put it back on.
That's pretty impressive that, that from that point on, he just got, and similar to what Kai's doing, what Kai did.
And I understand why guys wear helmets. Like, I understand it completely. But for me, like, it was just, I felt like I never lost sight of them. I kept them right there, right in the sights where they needed to be, and I didn't have to work near as hard. For that helmet, I feel like if they'd get me a tick behind, I had to work 10 times harder to be able to get my chin back down to get caught back up to them. With a hat on, boy, they just stayed right there. And if I did get behind, it was just, you just pop back around there. So, I mean, for me, it felt like it was 10 times easier. Got a lot more stitches, and I'm missing a few.
But in all reality, that wouldn't have helped your neck, because the way you hit, you were going to break your neck. I mean, that, again, more cosmetic or for your face, or a bull stepping on your melon.
I'm pretty sure nothing would have helped me on breaking my neck. That was the man upstairs did that, because I'd landed on my head a million times the same way and a lot worse. There have been times I've hit on my head and you'd have swore it snapped my neck and just pop right up and be fine. And that night it wasn't any different. Like it didn't even look that bad. I just landed on kind of on top of my head and, hit the ground. Well, when I rolled over, when I pushed, I knew it. So I guess that was the man upstairs easily, tapping me on the shoulder saying, hey, it's time to hang that bull rope up.
Sanderson Ford is celebrating.
Ow! Can he slow it down a bit?
Hey, Randy, turn down the heat.
That's perfect. We're celebrating our 69th anniversary sale.
Now during the Mighty Fine 69 anniversary sale, get home run deals like these.
Get 1.9 financing on F-150 trucks. Get 0% financing plus $1,000 flex buy cash on new Escapes.
Catch the savings at Sanderson Ford.
A proud partner of the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Well, and it's crazy how how you end your career. I mean, mine was a hamstring, which was, I could have done everything I wanted to do in life, but I could not steer wrestle competitively without a hamstring. Once I went and had the surgery, I'm like, I'm done. I mean, Tim O'Connell tore his groin again, and he said, man, I could do everything. I'm explosive, this, that. I could do everything with my kids, work-wise. I cannot ride a bucking horse without my groin. And it's just, any normal person would just go on their life without it, but obviously we have to have a neck that works and muscles that stay attached.
Yeah, that's what when that surgeon told me, he said, I can't say it's 100%, but you land on your head like that again, more than likely you'll snap your neck either above or below. And I said, well, I'm listening. It was a pretty easy decision after that. Samantha and Jagger sitting over there, I'm looking at them while he's telling me this.
Right.
Want to hang that bull rope up? Hell no, I didn't. I didn't feel like I still had a lot left in the tank to give. But, that's what Randy, he was like, man, I just hate you went out that way, not on your own terms. I knew that. I would have never been able to tell myself I couldn't do it. I said, this way, the decision was made for me, and I don't feel like I just quit. Like, it was kind of forced, like, hey. And, I can, exactly what you're saying, I can do everything I was doing. I could probably ride them. It's just a dismount would get me.
Well, and it's funny you bring that, not funny, but it's like you bringing that up, going out, not, if you retire, you say I'm done, you feel like a quitter. I was the same way. I probably should have retired 5 years or 4 years before I did. But it was that mentality that we have of, I do not want to be considered a quitter, and I will think of myself as one if I did. And I think that's just the way we're built. We don't have that mentality.
And that's what I told Randy. I said, this is the best way it could have worked out. I always knew something was going to have to happen for them, and for them to tell me, hey, you need to quit. Like, And so this is the best way. I'm still upright. I can do everything I was doing before. Just can't ride bulls.
All right. Well, you can coach bull ride. I want to talk about the Wildcatters. You got Taylor Gooch. He's your coach, or he's your owner. Live golf champion from Oklahoma, so knows the sport, loves the Western way of life. How is his thoughts? I mean, he's got to be excited to, one, have a team, and two, have you the coach, and then having, you got Kyler Oliver and Court McFadden are the two guys you got now, right?
Oh, we've got Austin Richardson.
That's right.
Court McFadden. Austin, Court.
Was Kyler?
Yeah, Kyler Oliver. Hayden Harris. Josh Frost.
Oh, you did pick up Josh. That's right.
And the Brazilian guy, he's still over in Brazil right now, I believe. But the new rider draft's coming in a couple weeks in May. So, and that's what we're doing here tomorrow and Wednesday. We're having a combine for guys that either, hadn't been on a team yet or haven't signed the draft deal. So just try to get more guys into the draft pretty much. So we'll buck bulls tomorrow and Wednesday.
So you said the Brazilian guy down in Brazil, have you seen videos of him? Bates been kind of scouting quite a bit?
Yeah. Bates, he gets mad at me because he's like, I don't ever get a straight answer from you because you're just like, yeah, that'll work. And I was like, I can make any of them work as long as they're the one word we can't say. I said,
right, and they have that.
If they're weak-hearted, they're weak-hearted. You can't change that. And I said, you can fix mistakes and bobbles and things like that. I said, but if a guy doesn't have his whole heart in it, then you can't change that. That's born into him.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I mean, especially in this team scenario, because there's so many people there's your team's relying on you. So having that heart it's going to get you a lot further and get your team that championship than any amount of talent.
Yeah, that's what I told Brandon. I said, talent, yeah, y'all looking at papers. Y'all are sitting there looking at a book or a sheet of paper or on the computer looking at stats. They can be the best stats ever. I said, I'm not worried about the stats. I said, as long as that son when he ties his hand on there, like Kyler Oliver, when he ties it in there, he's tough, gritty, just does whatever. I said, you can take that, you can work with that. And I said, but as long as you have the try, you can teach them the talent. But if it's the other way around, you can't. You're born with the try or you're born without it. There's no in between.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be exciting to watch, with the new two teams, the Brooklyn Mavericks, and is it Brooklyn or is it New York? I can't remember what it is. The Mavericks, and then the Wildcatters. So it's going to be fun to watch. I get to be behind the buck and shoots. What else was fun was the Mooney Cast. Obviously, I was the co-host. You were the star of that. And I didn't have my Mooney Cast cup, but anyway. Man, I appreciate you coming on. Looking forward to the 24 team season. I will get to see you every weekend. You get to hang out with me again. I'll give you a ride from the hotel room probably because that's what I feel like. I'm your damn chauffeur every time we get together.
A coffee with a couple ice cubes.
Yes. Black coffee, 2 ice cubes, and you'll sit out there and smoke your cigarette in one pull, which is very impressive, by the way. Anyway, well,
Practice.
you got the heart to practice that every day.
Every day. All day.
All right. Well, get ready for the combine, man. We'll be talking to you, and thanks again for coming on.
Yes, sir. No problem. See you, Luke.
Thanks, Barter. This question is from my good friend John Moore, 6582. Regarding Dr. Impey's stem cell research, do you think the MLB or NFL would outlaw this treatment like they do steroids? That's a great question for the simple fact that stem cells are all natural. I don't know that they will. I mean, it has so many positives to it. I think it'd be crazy if the NFL and MLB did outlaw it. Hey, you want to see more in-depth details on the Luke Branquinho Show? Make sure you like and subscribe.